have an audience member that wants me to respond to all of this wall of text that they're, writing. Now, shout out to you, Charles Barnowski, but I'm a school teacher. I got to read and grade students' assignments. For you to give me all this wall of text to read and respond to in a video is not helpful for me. Give me the short and the sweet. I did read it. I am not going to spend time making responses to all of them because you've already made conclusions and majority of them are faulty. Let me show you one of them. You said the fundamental disconnect with those, including yourself, essentially making the argument that Microsoft's pivot to third-party development is what every company that develops games need to aspire to in order to survive in the future. This is a faulty assumption, partially because I made that assumption, I made this conclusion based on the fact that Microsoft has been doing this since 2016 and PlayStation has been doing this since 2020. They're both third-party developers. Does that make sense? I did not start talking about PlayStation's own side until 2016 to 2018 when the PC market started to grow significantly. And seeing that Xbox was already on there, it made sense. However, it seemed like they were thinking about it themselves. So all I did was hypothesize that Marvel Spider-Man needed to go to PC, even though the video is an old video, even if it was a timed exclusive. That was my hypothesis. And I only thought it was just going to be a few games. In fact, if you watch that video, I was a lot more conservative about my thinking than I am now. I even said something along the lines of, maybe they have to make it a timed exclusive and then later down the road, they can bring it to PC. That way it doesn't necessarily, affect, fans and stuff. But now they're going full gung-ho. They're bringing games they want to PC. Lego Horizon Adventures. They're now bringing live service games. Then there wasn't even any talk about live service games from PlayStation. This was in 2016, 2017, 2018. They weren't even talking about that stuff. Like, I was hypothesizing that they do a little bit of it, but they went crazy. So you saying that the other developers should aspire? No, they're already doing it. There's no aspiration here. Like, everything you think they should aspire. And that's why I say you've made a lot of faulty, conclusions that I can't respond to them without having to first try to clean it up. I'll show you another faulty conclusion you made. You said Microsoft undeniably failed as the go-to storefront for gamers on all of PC, console, mobile, and also a meaningfully growing Game Pass beyond console. A faulty assumption. A faulty assumption. Number one, the PC storefront market for Microsoft is actually quite in its infancy stage in a sense, because they just recently announced that they wanted to go ahead and make more games available for Play Everywhere. They just recently announced that they were going to basically start courting developers to bring more games and reduce the pricing in terms of profit sharing to bring games to PC. They have actually been focusing on the console all this while. And I've told this to Xbox fans, much to them basically ignoring me when I told them that there are many benefits to the Xbox platform that you have on the console that you don't have on PC. And they said for the most part that I was making that stuff up. So you're criticizing and claiming that Microsoft has failed on something that it's basically not focused on, that it's just basically starting to focus on. So you've already concluded that they failed, whereas PlayStation has barely any presence here on PC. Until much recently that they started to basically set their games up. And you know what's crazy is the PlayStation fans don't even want to celebrate the fact that PlayStation is actually finding success on PC. Because for the most part, they've all hugged their exclusives so tightly to their chest that if they realize that their exclusives are doing well on other platforms, it signals, according to some of you said, it signals to PlayStation that they need to continue doing this, of which they're going to continue doing it. I mean, obviously, they already continue doing that. I mean, have you seen the number of PlayStation games on PC? PlayStation is a third-party publisher. You said console. If they failed on console, I have a question for you. Why are developers still bringing their games to Xbox? In fact, why are developers still now abandoning PlayStation exclusivity that they could capitalize on, get some money, and stay on their platform and go into Xbox? I will give you 3 examples. Number 1, Koei Tecmo. Koei Tecmo has signaled that they now want to publish their games as an independent publisher. The word independent publisher is also used with the second example, Crimson Desert's developer, Pearl Abyss, who in a shareholder meeting turned down PlayStation giving them an exclusivity deal to block a game, their Crimson Desert game, from going to Xbox. They said this is their response. We said we refused and decided that we would publish the game independently. The third one is Square Enix, who has signaled from the developers, the creators, and the directors of the Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 remake games that they like Xbox. They're looking and hopefully trying to bring their game to Xbox. So if you claim that Xbox has failed, these developers and publishers don't agree with you. You see, you can say this from the comfort of your home, but you haven't spent $100 million developing a game. So you can just, say it and, there are no consequences. But the people who got skin in the game, they look at you and go, what the heck are you talking about? There's 30 million people out there that could buy our game. That could be the difference between break even and profitability. And you say that, or multiple profits that can kick off another project or keep your developers on staff for another 5, 6, 7 years if you break into the Xbox ecosystem and you sell a good number of copies. And you said mobile. Look at this. Xbox is still under a temporary injunction from a judge to even get into mobile and start to sell games directly from there because Google went ahead and got an injunction to stop them. So they haven't even necessarily put as much effort into the mobile space. They're ready to go. They're just not allowed. They've already got all the systems ready. Sarah Bond said, we're ready. We're ready to start, getting on the Android store. Apple is a whole different fight. And a judge basically told them to hold off for a little bit so that Google could prepare a defense. So, and they just recently bought King. So you're already criticizing Xbox in number one and in 2 areas, that's PC and mobile, that they haven't even gotten the opportunity to start pushing some ground in, and console, whereas all the publishers are still publishing on their platform. So this is why I said to respond to a comment like this just has a lot of faulty conclusions at the end of the day. Like everything that I've said, I challenge any single one of you to go ahead and refute it. If Xbox on the console side has failed, as you say, and has failed as a storefront, you who have no skin in the game, you have none. You haven't developed the game before. You haven't made a video game. I'm not saying this as as something wrong. I'm just saying that, you're calling it like or you're in the business. And other developers who are making games are like, no, we want to bring our games to Xbox. Then your presumption is wrong or misguided at least. And you said, well, you've made very, very clear that Xbox would be fine as the largest third-party developer of games. I don't understand what you mean. I said they're going to be a big third-party, a big developer of their games and putting them everywhere. The same as PlayStation. Don't worry, PlayStation games are going to come to Xbox. All this stuff that you guys are talking about, you're about to see the industry change so fast in front of you. I'm telling you, y'all that are coming up with this stuff, no offense, man, and myself included, we've aged out of this. We've aged out of gaming. Simple. We are just the stepping stones, if you are holding on to the old school way of doing things, for the next generation, for them to basically be able to serve this next generation where they are. These guys aren't going to go buy a $500 box for some stupid game that you liked when you were a kid. That's not going to... Well, okay. We'll just wait and see. This strategy makes sense for them in not being a storefront leader. How do you mean in not being a storefront leader? Is that a new... What is that? Like a storefront leader? In what sense? Is that some new categorization? Because are you saying that you said this. Okay, I see what you're saying. But does not indicate what will happen in the entire industry. Valve, PlayStation, Nintendo, and Google and Apple are storefront leaders in their respective domains, and downplaying this fact is purely Xbox cope. You see, you're having to import all these other companies, and to be very honest, whenever you say things about Valve, I have to ask you, do you even know why Valve is successful? Do you know why Valve is actually very successful? Valve is successful because they provide, I think, the most pristine service for the user and the developer both at the same time. You didn't know that. Valve's developer back-end support is second to none in the industry. The ease of use, ease of entry, ease of verification process from the developer side is fantastic. This is why you can get this number of games launched on Steam, and developers can come in here and get a data-driven approach to making their games, understand and get feedback from users, do stuff like early access, do stuff like Steam, Next Fest, all of these different things that Steam basically provides for developers and gamers to be able to check out games from developers and give feedback. They've created a loop that Xbox and PlayStation is refusing to create. That is Valve's secret to success. It is not your console war that we launch some exclusive. I've said this before. Exclusives no longer sell consoles. There are just way too many games for anybody to be worried about your box to think, oh, if I don't play that game, I'm going to miss out on the games of this year. We have aged out of gaming. We are no longer in this particular, paradigm that everybody is pretty much preaching over here. You know how we know? Even today was the most shameful thing I'd ever seen in this nonsense console wars that they're doing, where PlayStation fans were celebrating this fake data set that they're spending $27.2 million on Marvel Rivals buying skins. That's how you know that we have aged out. This is if this particular experiment, because this data set I don't believe is true, because when they talked about their methodology, it was a whole bunch of hogwash. But the celebration from the PlayStation, so-called PlayStation fans, really unveiled a significant sickness and a significant problem at the end of the day. These people really do think that this right here is something to basically fight about. This is the same platform that basically launched a $400 million live service game, and its own audience didn't play it. The game had to be deleted, yet they're celebrating that they're the second highest spenders on a different game made by a different publisher. Again, you got to look at the gaming industry. So they're a storefront leader in selling everybody else's game and making everybody money. Sure, they're making money. This is your 70% math paragraph. I'm not going to talk about it. I already did that in a video. So again, just the beginning of your comment, to me, I really feel like, and this is, again, you can go verify everything that I've said. I give you a challenge, Show me what developers are looking at Xbox and saying that they failed. We're not going to make games on there. Show me. I've challenged everybody, even the Series S ones. I'm about to do a video on the Turk's video of him slapping Nib95 with data and evidence, and another YouTuber that is still over there making noise that's also probably going to fall in the exact same trap. Again, watch the industry. It's a very interesting place. All right, that's enough. Enough said about this, man. Yeah, peace out.